What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Wise here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Brett Allen of Marketing 32. You can check him out at marketing32.com. And Brett, before I formally introduce you, I always like to point out other episodes of the podcast people should check out. So this is part of the Top Agency series. Some fan favorite episodes. Jason Swank, I think I had him on twice. Brett, and he had the first one, he talked about how he built up his agency to 8 figures and sold it. And then we had another one that he had been buying up agencies. And we talked about the valuation space, the agency space. And obviously he talked about how he created the group that he wished he had when he had an agency. That's how Brett and I met through Jason's group. Another interesting one was Kevin Hurrigan of Spinutech. He had an agency since 1995. So it was really interesting to hear the landscape of the internet, business, and agency life going through the decades, right? And so that was a very interesting one. And Duncan Allen I had on, Brett and their company are super niche and focused on dental practices, okay? And so I love talking about that. And Duncan focuses on CPG and beverage companies. So it was interesting to hear, their journey and niching and serving certain spaces as well. So check out more on InspiredInsider.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. Rise 25, we help businesses give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. We do that in 2 ways. One, we're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do the strategy, the accountability, and the full execution. As Brett knows, we're kind of like the dancing elves that work in the background to make it look easy for them. Number 2 is we're an easy button for a company's corporate gifting. So we make gifting and staying top of mind for your clients and partners and prospects easy. You just send us the list. We do everything else. So we do gift selection, the card, your branding, and everything. So for me, the number one thing, Brett, for me is relationships. I'm always looking at ways on how I can give to my best relationships. And personally, I found no better way over the past decade to profile the people and companies I admire and also send them sweet treats in the mail. I don't know if, Brett, you've got anything from us yet, but if not, you will. You can check it out at rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com. I'm excited to introduce Brett Allen, the co-founder and CEO of Marketing 32. They're the only dental marketing team that stands behind their process and results with an industry-leading performance guarantee, which we will dig into. Their guarantee will grow your dental practice or you don't pay. It's pretty bold, right? Yeah. After helping over 240 practices to grow across, it could be US, Canada, Australia, the practice impact formula at Marketing 32 is really, they've perfected this proven process that creates predictable growth for dental practices. And that's, by the way, without adding more work for their front desk, which I could see being an issue. So, Brett, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, super excited to be here. So grateful and thankful for you and your team, Jeremy. Like you mentioned in the intro, our team does use Rise 25 to get for our podcast, for our production, editing, all of that. Their team at Rise 25 has just been phenomenal to work with. Super grateful for them.
Well, thank you,
Jeremy.
Thank you. And I did not pay you to say that, but I appreciate that. And, I do want to start off, just tell people about Marketing 32 and what you do.
Yeah. So I started the company really 11 years ago. At the time, it wasn't dental marketing related. It was just purely Google marketing. It was my attempt at entrepreneurship and to do my own thing. And so jumped into that and quickly grew that business, but realized the headache of not specializing. And every new client that came in, we had to develop strategy around, investigate competition, and really create a custom approach. And so really in 2018, I approached my business partner and I said, look, if we're really wanting to scale something and make an impact, those were our kind of driving motivators. We looked at our business, we're like, we need to niche down, specialize. And
Was that
wow,
just intuitive, or did someone tell you that
I
to
kind of
do that?
felt it. Yeah, it was kind of
Because you're
intuitive.
like, there's so much
Yeah.
work. We have to customize every client and learn a new industry kind of thing. I gotcha.
Yeah. And at that point, since we were just a Google marketing agency, in the competitive landscape of SEO, search engine optimization, um, it was becoming more and more apparent that to win at this game, you had to be really, really good. And yeah, so it just, what I didn't anticipate was the effect of how much easier it would be from our marketing standpoint to get clients. Because when you're a specialist, people trust you even more, right? Like in your case, you're not just a marketing agency, you are a podcast agency. And so you don't just help with creative, you're niched in that way. And I'm sure that's been great for you too.
I want to find out how you decide to niche into dentistry.
Yeah, great question. So actually, my first client when I started the agency in July of 2014 was a dentist. Got connected with him from a friend from college. Revive, still a client. Um, yeah, Dr. Kent Howell and Nate Farley. Love those guys.
What were
And
you saying when
yeah.
they were coming to you? Were they saying, we just want new patients, or what were they asking you at the time?
Yeah, so they just wanted, more new patients, and better visibility on Google. That was the driver there. They wanted to be at the top. They wanted, yeah. So that was, yeah, we had a number of discussions, signed them as a client, super excited to be working with them. But to answer your question, actually related to the same client, by 2018, we had 3 dental clients across our companies that we were working with. And I was trying to figure out, okay, where do we want to niche down? What do we want to do? And Dr. Kent Howell's picture from a patient, a case that he had, was he showed a full mouth transformation. So in dentistry, you'll know this as an all on X procedure where they do dental implants. All the teeth come out, top and bottom, and they
All
put
of
in,
them. All of
yeah,
them.
they put in arches, top and bottom, with a full
Wow.
new set of teeth, and they can do it within a day.
All of
And
them.
so,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. In this particular patient, if I could, it'd be hard for me to find the photo for you, but this guy had dental practices will know what I'm talking about. There was
I can maybe look it up while you're talking.
severe.
Well, I look up Dr.
Pull up
Howell.
revivedental.com.
Oh, Revive Dental. Okay.
And I don't know if his picture will be on there, but they have a lot of
I'll
cases
poke around. I'll see if
that would
it's there.
demonstrate.
Is
Yeah,
it, where are they located? In
Phoenix,
Chattanooga?
Arizona.
Oh,
Yeah.
Phoenix. Okay. Okay.
And yeah, the transformation, the before and after, like, it really impressed me. I had no clue that this was the kind of impact they were having in their patients' lives, that they could in a day restore dental health, hygiene, and what is a huge thing for patients that need this type
Is
of
this it right
procedure.
here? Is this?
Yes, this is
Is it?
them.
I mean, I don't know if this is the person, but you can see, I mean,
Yeah.
the
If you
before
scroll
and
down,
after here.
there's a lot more, cases on there. But yeah, there's these people don't have the ability to eat like the rest of us. They don't
Yeah.
have the confidence.
As a functional
Yeah,
and psychological.
right. Yes, their confidence, their they don't smile when they talk. And can you imagine not smiling all day because you're worried about what people are going to think about your teeth, right?
Yeah.
So it was blew me away. So I called Dr. Howell and I was like,
It is pretty crazy.
yeah, yeah. So this type of dentistry, definitely specialists do this, prosthodontists, periodontists. And there's some pretty amazing tools out there and robots that facilitate this now. Yomi, shout out to Yomi Robot. They're a good partner of ours, and we're doing some marketing with
Do
them.
they
But
do like what do they do?
yeah, robots that guide the doctor through the procedure, so you get real
Ooh,
accurate precision.
that's cool.
on implant placement. And
Wow.
yeah,
I had implants.
you did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's
my daughter needs one. Yeah.
I knocked out my front teeth rollerblading
Oh,
when I was
man.
18, and I was at a conference, and I had a permanent bridge in, and I
Okay.
bit into granola at a conference like the first day, and my permanent bridge came out. And
Oh,
so, and I was in Connecticut. Obviously, I'm from Chicago, and I
yeah.
called my dad is actually a dentist, by the way. And I said, "Is there glue I can buy from Walgreens?" Like I looked like a hockey, you know what I mean? Like what it
You're
looks
just like
like.
super
And
glue it back in.
no, I couldn't. It wasn't.
Yeah.
So I had to go through the whole conference and just tell everyone when they're talking to me, just so you know, I have no front teeth. Don't be alarmed. And
Wow.
it's painful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I get
Yeah.
it. I've been there.
You
So
can relate.
totally.
Yeah, but so that was as we are kind of evaluating different industries, that was further signal to me as like this dentistry beyond just hygiene and taking care of your teeth. They really do have some transformation that they provide for their patients. And
Huge transformation.
yeah, yeah. So I was like, let's do this. And so yeah, 2018, that compounded by at the time I was in Russell Brunson, founder of ClickFunnels, his inner circle mastermind that
Yeah.
a lot of big names in that group that I felt like totally like I didn't belong there. Alex Hormozy being one of them, if you recognize that name, got to know him real well, and a lot of others. But yeah, in that group there were Dr. Anissa Broussard and Jamie Amos, both big people in the dental industry. And so I was like, this is yet another sign that we should focus into dentistry. So that's kind of how we launched into it. And yeah,
I would like to hear
last
the
7 years.
evolution of the services a little bit because I'm sure you start. I know. I mean, for your journey, from what I understand, from what I researched, you didn't even start off offering services. You really. So if anyone's, when I hear of anyone making excuses like I don't know how to do this or that, like you actually just got clients and
Yeah.
then found people to fulfill on that stuff. And that's kind of how you met Jeff, I think. But talk
Yeah.
about the evolution of the services. And we could start with you basically selling,
Yeah.
getting clients and going from there.
Yeah. There's a part of me that, in fact, I bought a domain called startandtell.com way long time ago because I love motivating. I love entrepreneurship. I love this game that we're all playing. I think it's the greatest personal development game that you can play to better yourself. And I always encourage people who are thinking about jumping in to go for it. And so maybe someday I'll start a podcast called Start and Tell or something, but
You'll just do
interview.
a start and tell series on this podcast, maybe.
Yeah.
So
Oh, cool. But yeah, to get into my story, like I had this drive to do my own thing. I was working at my dad's company out of college. I graduated 2008. I was the marketing director there. And yeah, always wanted to do my own thing. I just didn't know what that was.
was your
And
dad an
so,
entrepreneur then?
yeah,
He
yeah.
did.
So, yeah. And, that helps for sure. Growing up in a home where you see that it's possible and you see the life that it can bring. And so,
Do you remember any lessons from your dad sitting around the table? I mean, maybe you didn't realize at the time because you
yeah.
were younger, but what was he talking about or saying at the dinner table that you remember?
Um, just the aware, like my dad he's the man. He's awesome. I love my dad. So if he ever listens to this, I'll send him a copy. But he poured into me growing up, and now as a father myself, I can see all that he did for me. Um, bringing it. So I was in Boy Scouts. He was a leader in that program. Um, Taught me so much about life, so much about leadership, so much about um, good values, right?
What do you
And my
remember
mom
from a
too.
leadership perspective? Do you
Oh
remember
man,
something that
so
he
much.
did specifically? I mean, maybe it's more observing than even saying sometimes.
Yeah, watching, yeah, modeling. I
Yeah.
definitely saw my dad step into the role of leader. He was our scout leader. He was the leader in his business. He was leader at church, very involved with church. Yeah, it's a
How does he
modeling.
lead when you see him? Like, how would you describe his leadership?
Um, that's a great question. I think He's a little bit more reserved and just leads by example.
Yeah.
More of like
I consider you kind of like that, don't you? Or no?
I'm not very loud and boisterous or type A domineering. No, he's definitely one to understand where people are at and collaborate and team build and leverage skill set that the team has.
Did you ever see from like a stress perspective? Because entrepreneurship is no joke, right? I mean, there's a lot of stressors. Like I remember with my family, like it could be positive, but there's also challenges. And I remember on the dinner table, talking about staff challenges, and I didn't know what that meant. And later on, I'm like, oh, I totally get what you're saying. So was there anything from that end that you were, maybe sometimes this is a deterrent for people even?
Yeah, I remember him coming home from work and feeling the stress of work and some of the team, his business partner navigating that relationship, and some of the challenges that different personality types bring, and some of the conflict.
It's a marriage, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's totally a marriage for sure. And not only that, but kind of the journey that he was on. It was interesting as I was in high school to see him navigate the sale of his business. So he exited his business that he started when I was younger. And due to the agreements that he had with that exit, he had a non-compete in place. He waited his time for the non-compete, everything by the book, but they still came after him after that because he entered back into the same industry, started a whole nother company in a similar space. Did not violate that non-compete. I'll be clear. He's an ethical, he's a trustworthy dude. But that was neat. That was interesting to see him navigate a lawsuit and at times to go to court with him. And yeah, there was a big private equity company that I won't name names, but they were big, and so they had a lot of resources. They were coming after him, and so yeah, that was cool. He won that, but it took a while.
Stressful.
And it was stressful. Yeah.
So you're working for your dad's company, and then what's next?
Yeah. So I was like, I'm listening to podcasts on my drive home from work. I had a long commute every day. So this was when I was in Houston. We lived in Katy, the west side suburbs of Houston, driving all the way up to the northwest side of Houston. So I have a 45-minute commute. I'm listening to podcasts every day. I listen to Smart Passive Income.
Pat Flynn,
yeah, Pat Flynn. This was in the early days, 2012, early days of Entrepreneur on Fire. So just going back to, listening to the guys, and it just more and more, I was like, I can do this. It gave me the confidence to figure it out and just jump in.
Were there any other podcasts you were listening to at the time that you remember? Or audiobooks that have been influential?
Those two stick out because I listen to those guys all the time.
Got it.
Every day. No, it's kind of drawing a blank.
Yeah. I know we're going back a ways. So
yeah.
So you're like, okay, I could do this.
I can do it. Yeah. And so before I graduated, I was my first real job. I was a software sales guy for a company called AtTask out of Utah. Well, I was at BYU. Coolest boss ever, Abe Nell. Shout out to him if he ever listens to this. He came to present at one of our business classes on sales. It was a sales class in the entrepreneurship program. And he told us that, they were growing fast, and they were, and he was looking for new sales guys. So I talked to him afterwards, met up for an interview. I got hired on. I think I was employee number like 55 or something like that in the early days. And that was such a cool company. And he was such a good boss. But so I had that skill set of sales and talking with people on the phone, and communicating people, networking, things like that. So what I found was, as I was looking into jumping into starting my own business, I I knew I could leverage that skill set, and I knew I could always fall back on my ability to sell. Um, and so what I did was as a marketing director at my dad's company, um, I was managing the relationship between a number of different creatives and SEO agencies to build our website, develop the content, get it ranking, drive traffic to it. We grew that website to generate about $1 million a year for that business, when prior to that they had really no online presence. And so I was like, I can do this. I could totally leverage these relationships. They can do all the work. I can go sell it because I kind of have a knack for it, an awareness around what to talk about, how to answer people's questions around SEO and Google marketing. That's primarily what we did. In fact, first of my few customers were vendors from my dad's company. And so, yeah, that was the beginning. I leveraged those relationships, some companies out of Utah, Big Leap. If you want to check those guys out, awesome company. Yeah, I'd go network, find the business, close it, and those guys would fulfill on it. And so that was the beginning of the business. So if you can, my advice to anyone listening, if you're thinking about jumping into something, you can do the steady approach where it's like you do it on the side until it's big enough, and then you make the jump. You can jump all in, but definitely do it in a way that minimizes risk. Because there's ways you can do that. You don't have to.
Yeah, you didn't go out, hire a whole staff and go in debt. You got clients and you figured out a way to get it fulfilled. And then over time, then built a team around it. Yeah. And that's how you met Jeff, actually.
Yep, that's how I met Jeff. Yeah. So fast forward a number of years, 2015, we decided to move to Austin. Coolest city in Texas, in my opinion, if you're going to live in Texas. I was born in Dallas, lived in Houston, grew up there. But Austin had such a cool vibe. We moved out there to be closer to my folks. And I was looking for guys on LinkedIn to help run ads. I had closed a big relationship with an agency there in Austin to manage all of this was a larger agency, Sherry Matthews advocacy group. They do advocacy campaigns for government. And so we were doing all kinds of ads for the state of Texas. And they needed help running their Google ads. And so that was a good amount of work. And so I was like, I need somebody here local. And just looked on LinkedIn, found Jeff, and we met up for lunch, went out to get some good Tex-Mex. We hit it off. I was like, hey, you want to try a campaign? I'll let you run one. We'll see how it goes. He was at the time SEO director for a big software company, Corel. If you've heard of them, Corel Draw. They, I think they own WordPerfect.
They're big, yeah.
Yeah. So he's doing all the SEO for them. Phenomenal guy, and knows SEO well, but was also able to help me with Google Ads. And so he started running those campaigns, and it was awesome.
I want to talk about, one big thing. So I could see the evolution of the services, a bit how you got into the business. One thing that sticks out, obviously, from a sales perspective, I've always seen, obviously there's a very compelling guarantee here. And then obviously you have to back it up. Yeah. At what point do you decide, okay, we're going to make this really compelling guarantee, which puts it on the line for you, right? Because you grow the dental practice or you don't pay. I think even on your website, it says grow in 30 days or you don't pay. What was the kind of the beginning of thinking of, okay, we're going to offer this guarantee?
So as we got into the dental space, we started to realize that like a lot of marketing agencies, you're one Facebook course away from learning how to be a digital marketer, right? And so there's so many courses out there that teach you how to run ads, or, this can be your $1 million business, work from home, laptop lifestyle, right? And so you have all of these people coming into the space, starting to run ads to get customers, promising the moon, And then, these people don't really have a ton of experience. And so what ends up happening is you get a lot of dentists that are getting played or having not a great experience. And so, they're jaded towards marketers in a lot of ways.
Give me an example. Like, I'm sure you get people coming to you and go, we got, or they may not even say it, go, we got totally screwed on this, or like we had a bad experience, and they're
100%.
taking that baggage to you. What would be an example of a bad experience, I guess?
I've talked to hundreds of dentists over the years, those that are looking to work with us and those that are asking questions. I've heard a lot of different stories. So the marketers who lock you into a contract forever, the $200 a month SEO package.
Yeah. By the way, I'm just gonna, as you talk about this, share it, because obviously what's interesting is this is all the stuff that's on your website except for the opposite, right? So if we look at no long-term contracts, so I'm sure all this translated into.
I just felt the pain. Yeah, I heard the pain. So, yeah, I heard the pains of dentists saying this sucked. It was they locked me into a contract. I didn't know what they were actually doing. There was no way for me to verify the results. And I spent all this money. And so I was like, well, we're going to be the opposite. You're right. We're going to not lock you into a contract. I'm a firm believer that if you're doing a great job, people won't leave you. In fact, they'll tell their friends about you. And so why lock people into a contract? Why have that small print that people just hate? And then so I've seen that a number of times. I've seen marketers say that the website is theirs. They own the website and it's in the small print, so that, they paid $10,000 to build this website. Big $1,000 monthly management fee of the website management fee, right? Which is basically bona fide hosting. They're not doing anything. And so, and then they're upset because they're leaving this company and they don't even have a website. And they're like, what can we do? And I'm like, I'm sorry, that totally sucks. We can build you a new website, but, so that's really what the guarantee is based on all the pains that I heard in the industry, and really wanting to create a company that's truly ethically driven to provide value for the industry and to be different. I'm not saying we're the only ones that are good. There's a lot of good dental marketing companies out there, but I think we're the only ones that offer this type of guarantee that if you're not growing, you don't pay us. We keep working at no cost until we can demonstrate value. Now, how do we qualify people to make sure we're working with the right people? That's the next step.
Puts the pressure on you, right? Because at this point, if you're making that promise, you need to be sure that you can deliver results, and that sometimes is out of your control, right? I mean, you could drive calls to a client, but what if they don't answer the phone? 100%. What if they answer the phone terribly? What if they have bad customer support, right? And so there's a lot of factors that are out of your control.
Yeah. So what we did, so early on, we were just Google specialists for dentists. So we just did SEO. Then we ventured into Google ads for dentists. And we realized that, we do call tracking, and we listened to some of the calls, and we realized a lot of our clients were either missing half of their calls going to voicemail, or front desk Sally was, scrolling Facebook while on the phone. And it's like, are you even listening to this patient? Like they're saying, so what do I do next? And you say, well, you'll just have to call back later. It's like, no, book the appointment. So so Jeff.
It's like a fish jumping in your boat when you're fishing, and then you just throw it out. What's this?
Right. Yeah. We had one client that had 90% going to voicemail. So we're like, okay, we got to figure something out here. So a lot of these pain
You're like,
points
just start forwarding the calls to my personal cell. I'll start answering for you. If we're guaranteeing results here, Brett Allen, blah, 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 dental.
Yeah, for real. So, so a lot of the pain points we experienced with clients, we started developing processes and solutions around. So Jeff built, this is probably 4 or 5 years ago now, CallCat. At the time, it wasn't branded that, but this was our own version of call tracking that has AI that reads through the transcriptions of the calls and then categorizes those calls into a dashboard for not only the front desk, but also the doctor and the business owner, so they can see truly of the calls we're generating, how many of them are getting answered, how many of them are scheduling. If they're not scheduling, why are they not scheduling? There's different categories that show them how they can improve. And so we built that not only to help them do better, but also to prove our results, because we were in the early stages. People would just cancel. They're like, I'm not seeing any growth. You guys aren't helping me. And I'm like, well, we drove 70 calls.
Right.
What happened on those calls? And we can demonstrate that those came from us, but we didn't have in the early days, we didn't have an awareness to how many of these were actually getting booked versus not getting booked. And so, yeah, so
right now, this is not commercially available for anyone else right now, right? Like this is only your
Correct.
internal tool. I mean, because
Right.
I mean, this is your internal call cat. Maybe if someone's listening to this like 3 years from now or something, maybe they go to call cat and they can actually subscribe or get it potentially.
Maybe we'll open that
But
up.
it sounds like a valuable thing, because I know a lot of agencies that serve, professional services, right? We talk about law firms, chiropractors, whatever professional services that generate calls, and this would be valuable,
Yeah, absolutely. And Jeff and I, we've toyed about that. It's like, hey, we could just pitch this to agencies as a solution to track all your results, and train up the AI beyond just dental calls to check for conversions. Did they make the sale? Did they schedule the appointment? Whatever. We're not there yet. We're trying to stay focused and not get distracted by the squirrels that are out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a real need for it. Obviously, you're using it internally, so there is, just because you're scratching your own itch, right?
Yeah.
But that goes into kind of, thanks for sharing the results-driven guarantee. And I think it's instructive for me, and I think any agencies, of like how when I look at your website, you've just kind of taken the reverse of all the things that you didn't like and what didn't work, and then applied it to your agency, essentially.
Yeah. I felt like that's a way we could be different. We could differentiate on quality of results.
One thing I want to discuss too, and I don't know if you share this readily or not, but you swam in college.
Yeah.
And I feel like collegiate athletes have a certain amount of grit and determination and hard work that is just kind of, you have to get to that level. Talk about some of the things that you did swimming that you kind of apply to the business world.
Yeah, I'll happy to. That was a highlight of my college was competing and training with world-class athletes. It was phenomenal. Raced against Colin Jones, fastest African American on the 2008 relay that Phelps won. If you guys remember that.
What was it like,
in Beijing, the 400 free relay with Jason Lezak as the anchor, and we beat the French, right? It was awesome. So I started off in Auburn University, got recruited by them under Coach David Marsh, who was the U.S. Olympic coach at the time. Awesome program there, but hardcore, intense. Coming from high school swimming, that was next level. And so, getting used to, there he is. I raced against him in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. This was nationals in 2006. In the 50 free.
He's 6'5"? Holy cow.
Yeah. Most good swimmers they're 6+, right? So, but it was phenomenal. So to your original question, you definitely when you're swimming at that level and, training with world champions and professionals in the sport, you really get focused on perfection. You really get focused on what's going to take me to the next level, what's going to add that little bit of marginal gain to help me win. And you train hardcore. I mean, the amount of training we did and the pain that we would go through really, it comes to a point where it's like we're all going to be feeling this pain, and so who in the middle of the race, who's going to push through that the best and maintain form and strength? And so you really do push yourself. And so I think that's definitely applied in business where, the entrepreneurial roller coaster of things are great, things aren't great, things are great, things aren't great. And you're just hoping that trend line's continually up. You learn to just push through and realize, hey, at the end of this, there's going to be another mountaintop.
What were some things you did to get the edge in swimming? I remember I interviewed one of the female Olympic swimmers who won the gold medal, and BJ Bedford Miller.
Okay.
And I think she was saying like they made her swim in her clothes just for like drag. I mean, like just crazy things
Yeah.
from a training perspective. Did you do anything like that?
Oh man,
Like anything crazy to train?
so Auburn, BYU, we did all kinds of fun stuff. This is not necessarily crazy, but it probably sounds interesting to those listening. Weight racks. You can sprint and train with a belt around your waist that is tied to a cable that's connected to a rack on the pool deck that lifts weights up. As you're swimming out, you're lifting the weights up, and so
Oh wow.
it's resistance.
So you're
training.
swimming with that around it's like around your waist.
Yeah, and you're lifting the weights up as you're swimming away from the wall, and so that was kind of cool. And definitely had a huge. That was probably, I think that was that, and another thing I'll tell you about were really interesting that create resistance and really develop power in your stroke because you're fighting against these weights. Another thing we would do, bungee cord swimming, where you would have a bungee around your waist that's tied to or somebody at the other end of the pool, and you push off the wall, and that bungee cord pulls you through the water really fast, and so it simulates in a way what you start to experience when you're going race speed in a competition, because your body, the adrenaline, you're going faster than you normally could ever get to just in training. And so when you've tapered and everything's hitting and it's the moment of the race, you're going to be swimming faster than you've ever simulated for in practice. And so that helps you kind of get the feel for when you're in the zone and flying through the water. Yeah.
I visualize that maybe in the business world. I don't know if it's really goal setting, but it's really making you experience in real time what it could feel like to win or to be that fast.
Yeah. Maybe visualization. We did that a lot in swimming too. We would visualize races and just like sit in the moment and just go from I'm climbing up on the blocks, the buzzer's going, I'm diving in, stroke count, flipping at the wall, all of that. You do these visualization exercises. You could do that too in business. Is like, where do I want to be at the end of 2025? What does that feel like? What does that look like? What's our team like? What have we accomplished? Sit in the success of that and really bring it to the present, right?
Well, I want to talk about, I know you do quarterly meetings to talk about these things as a business, but I want to geek out on the swimming just for a second about coaches. Like, I mean, the coaches are influential for you in college. Does anything stick out from, I don't know, their mantras or things that they would say over and over?
Oh man.
Or maybe it's PTSD and you don't think about it anymore.
No, there's a lot. I can't remember any specifics. My memory's failing on me. That was 17 years ago now, which is hard to hear me say that.
Was there a highlight race that you remember in your career that you still think about?
I still think about what coaches told me and certain advice that they gave me to help my stroke and Certainly just the culture that they developed on the teams, both at Auburn and BYU. And the principals there. So those guys, Dave Marsh and Tim Powers, my coach at BYU, Dave Marsh at Auburn, truly influential in my life for sure. Easily top five guys.
What was your event? Like, what was your thing?
I was sprint freestyle, so I did 50, 100 in season, and then at the conference and championship meets, you need a third event, and so I would do the 200 free.
So that's the sexy event, right? What was your record time?
50 freestyle, my fastest ever was a 19.58 in the 50.
Wow, that's crazy.
50 yards, not meters.
Yeah, 50 yards. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the 100?
43.38.
Holy cow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was All-American at BYU. I finished 12th. That year I raced Colin Jones, 12th in the 50. And then my last year, my senior year, we got a relay there. Raced in Minnesota. So I was the 200 free and the 400 free relay qualified for All-American. So I got 4 times.
I mean, sometimes what separates one from two or two from three, we're talking like tenths of a second sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the edge is so critical.
Yeah. So when I was racing, I can give you some examples. First off, so I was state champion in Texas my senior year in high school, at the UT pool there, and I won by 100th of a second. So that's
wow. Holy cow.
And the 50, you see that a lot more common than the longer races because you have that time of the event to get an edge. But that happens a lot where the margin of difference between first and last.
Did they even have cameras? Like, how do they even judge that? Like, is there like a sensor?
Yeah, there's sensors on the walls. They even have sensors in the blocks. So for relays, they can tell if you're false starting and leaving early. But yeah, there's the technology is awesome.
Can you wear like finger extensions, like for that moment? Like, just like boom.
I don't know if you would like the feel of that.
No, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Another one that this is the coolest one. Senior year, we're going up against UNLV at the conference championship, Mountain West Conference in Oklahoma. And our relay, we knew we had a shot to qualify for nationals, but nationals, they only take the top 16 relays to qualify. They take alternates, but nobody's going to miss out on swimming their relay. So if you're an alternate, you're not going to make it. So we dive in, we're racing, we set up the structure of the relay for me to be anchor. Chris Patience leads off on our team, then Travis Price and George Azevedo, and then me. But on paper, similar to 2008, the greatest relay of all time, UNLV had us beat. They had 4 faster sprinters, and so it was gonna take a lot. It was gonna take our best to even get us in the position to win. And so, Chris led off with exactly the time he needed to. We were hoping for under 20.6, and he did that. All season, he had not done anything close to that. So he set us up straight for, okay. And everybody, Travis, George, we all hit what we were supposed to hit. I dove in a body length behind, and I used the same strategy that Jason Lezak did in 2008, where you draft the lane line and just out-touched the guy by 100th of a second.
Wow. So
our relay qualified for nationals, and they didn't make it. So that was the difference. So, it was thanks for sharing that, because I think this applies to everything, whether it's sports or business, and what's going to give the edge, right? Maybe it's listening to the extra podcast episode, the extra audio book, that extra conversation with the colleague, that whatever it is, you know what I mean? Is that extra edge. Yeah. Yeah. There's, we really are, business is a longer term play. It's the infinite game, right? It doesn't end unless you quit. But I mean, if you can make those marginal gains and those little improvements everywhere, it really starts to add up for sure.
How do you structure the quarterly meetings then? Because I know you're assessing, you're looking back and you're assessing, and then how do you improve?
Yeah, so a big core value of ours is to enjoy the journey. So we realize that success is a continual pursuit of a worthy goal. You never truly arrive. So we celebrate our wins in the moment. We have fun. So every day on our daily huddle, we celebrate from the day before what was something cool that happened, what was a win. So quarterly planning is no different. We'll kick the meeting off celebrating the wins from the quarter prior, and we'll get excited about what's to come. And we really look at things that we've worked on in the past, things that need improvement. We look at different metrics in the business, different things that are happening in the team, and we just kind of put it all up there on the whiteboard and say, okay, what is it that will really drive the company forward this next quarter? What is that 80-20 effect? What is it that we can leverage, right, to get that? So that's kind of the structure of the meeting: is celebrate the wins and then focus on what we're gonna do next. Yeah.
Sometimes enjoying the journey, perhaps for me, is tough because I'm looking at the end result. But I mean, I hear this over and over again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I got to enjoy the journey. But like, I'm, if you're goal driven, you're like, no, I just want to win. But like, I don't want to enjoy like your turmoil that you do swimming every day with a weight vest on or something, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's the real, that's what has to happen,
Yeah, the reality is like, okay, so if you're goal driven and you get your goal, then what? There's always that next thing.
Totally.
And so if you live in that mindset truly as like, oh, I'm not going to be happy until, you'll never get there. You'll never be happy or fulfilled. And so you gotta sit in the present and realize, okay, this is really cool. If I could go back to me 2014 when I'm driving in my car listening to podcasts, thinking about starting this thing, and I could tell myself then, hey, look at this. Look at where you've come. Look at what you've done. Look at what you've accomplished, the team you've built, and the impact you're having. And I mean, you got to celebrate that and just sit in that and just be grateful and love it.
No, it's good to hear a reminder of that constantly. And one of the books I love is Dan Sullivan wrote The Gap and the Gain. I don't know if you've checked that one out, but it's similar to what you're talking about, which is like, sometimes you just have to pop up and look how far you've come as opposed to where you're going. And he talks about like, if you're just trying to get to the horizon, you're never going to get there, right? It's impossible. So, I do want to highlight, Brad, I know we have a few minutes here of, you talk about impact, and I'd love for you to tell, so give people some on a granular level, what you do for clients. And I don't know if it's Dr. Waters, Dr. Fulcher, or Dr. J. We'll call it Dr. J. It's, I'll let you say it, but Jaworski. Yeah. Who would be the best one to tell, just to kind of walk through a little bit about the nuts and bolts? What do you actually do, and what occurs?
Yeah. So from an impact standpoint, it's twofold. We definitely want to impact the practices we work with, the lives of the doctors who trust us. And we want to celebrate those wins and have that value for them. But we also want to impact our team. And so we recognize that the people on our team give a lot to accomplish the goals we set and to be a part of what we're building. And so I want to make sure it's worthwhile for them and add value everywhere, really. And so, I mean, we've got a lot of success stories, a lot of impact we've generated over the years. Dr. Jaworski has been with us since 2019, I think. Now has 4 practices. We've grown considerably with him and enjoyed that journey together. I think when he came to us, he was doing about 100 new patients a month at one of his offices, which is nothing to be, shy away from. That's very successful. But he's ambitious. He's business minded and driven, and so, which is why he's now got 4 practices. But that one practice is now doing over 200 new patients a month consistently. And we've impacted the others as well. So Dr. Fulcher, there's a lot of interesting things that we did for him to grow his implant center. But a big one was using our texting team with Pipeline. That's kind of a cool process that we developed to market to existing patients and get them back into the practice. So the first campaign that we did with him generated over 250,000 in patient revenue production, we call it in the industry. But there's a lot of these different stories. They're on our website. But it's cool when you get that right fit, like the right doc and team with our team, and how we can really take them to the next level. And so that's one of the reasons why we're able to offer that guarantee, is because we do qualify people and really in the discovery process try to vet those who we know we can really help. Yeah. Versus a lot of other people who just work with anybody and everybody who will give them a credit card, right? So
I don't know, Brett, if you have to go. I had a question about multi-location. Do you have to run or?
No, we can keep going.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was wondering how it differs. Like, I know, probably in the beginning, maybe you had like practices that are one or two offices, and now you serve a lot of multi-location. They could have 10 or more offices. How does that differ? And how does that affect what you do?
Yeah, great question. In fact, I love working with multi-location. It's a lot easier from a standpoint of, from a business standpoint. They're further along in the journey, and so they've got processes and team developed to really add fuel to the fire. Fuel to the fire, right? So, we work with a number of multi-location docs. We've got a great practice out of Florida right now, Dr. Raful. They're all different branded practices, but he's got 6 practices there. We've got Comfort Dental. That's a big chain across the U.S. We're helping work with 12 of their offices in Washington, so the Washington State area. We've got that market, and the first month we started doing some of our Google marketing with them, we increased calls. I don't remember the percentage, but it was quite a bit. And they've loved it. So, I mean, just in 1 month alone, to have a 20% lift, I think that's what we were looking at. I could pull it up again and look at it, but to have that kind of impact has really.
Like, what are they, when they come to you, what are they doing before? Are they just trying to do it themselves?
A lot of times they're working with marketing companies that either are just not doing enough to move the needle, or they don't have the right process.
Maybe they're
not specialized, or they're just not doing what's required. They're just not even doing what's required. Maybe they're not working with a marketing company. They're just missing out on these opportunities. And so, there's multi-location is a fun route to go, though. I enjoy working with those practices. Yeah. We've got one more I'll tell you about. Nuva Smile out of New Jersey. They have 26 offices. We're doing a pilot program with them right now, and generated a good amount. And we're excited about that relationship.
What do you find is the lowest hanging fruit for people? It sounds like one of the things, at least in the chiropractic world, maybe it's similar to dental, which is, people want the new patients, but like re-engaging with existing patients. And sounds like that campaign is really, beneficial and is big for these offices. And they're not doing anything with it typically. I don't know.
Yeah. So, let's see, 4 years ago now, I reached out to Dr. Jaworski. We'll go back to him. He had never done a marketing campaign to his patient list, beyond just the appointment reminders that get out, hey, your appointment's at Friday at 2:00, or the annual reminder, hey, come in for your hygiene. It's time to see the dentist again, right? So a lot of practices don't do anything to their list beyond that. So there's a huge opportunity and so that's how we built Pipeline, which is our texting team and our texting process and everything we do around that. We reached out to Dr. J and we're like, well, would you mind us just running something? We'll do an Invisalign offer. We'll run it to your list. We'll handle all the replies for you, and we'll schedule the appointments for you. And that campaign generated, I think it's on our website, 56,000, something like that.
54. Oh, maybe
Or
not.
no, a $54,000 smile makeover case. It was a smile makeover campaign. Yeah. Yeah. And he was like, whoa, this is awesome. And so we rolled that out. We do it once a quarter. So we're not inundating the list or doing it too frequently. It all feels very personalized. It doesn't feel like those spammy blasts you get from marketing companies. We say the patient by name. There's some kind of value proposition in there. It feels like it's coming from someone from the front desk. So it's like a real person reaching out to them. And of course, there's some scarcity built in. So they take action and yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think in general, I mean, any business, right? How often are you engaging with past people that at one point knew you, liked you, trust you, paid you money, right?
Yeah.
So, no, thanks for sharing that. And but I have one last question. First of all, thanks for sharing your journey. I could hear your swimming stories, as you know, for hours, so I'm holding back on those questions. But just some of your favorite resources that it could be books, it could be software, it could be apps. What are some of your favorite resources that you use, or have used before?
Great question. I love internal Slack is great. It works great with our team. We have a channel for every client. We keep the communication organized that way. Jeff will tell you ClickUp is awesome from a project management standpoint. He's in the weeds there all day with our team as the operations COO. But podcasts, I would have to give a shout out to Alex Hermosi of The Game. That guy's on next level. If you've ever heard of any of his content or what the advice he's giving out for business owners.
Yeah, he's got $1 million offers and $1 million. What's his other book called? I forgot.
$1 million leads,
$1 million leads, $1 million offers. Yes, thank you.
He's awesome, and so all of his content is free, and it's just purely giving value to everybody. I love the model. Just share everything you possibly can, and then attract those who want to. He's doing a partnership model with acquisition.com. So anybody that is a good fit for his team to grow, that's how he attracts them. So
you forgot one huge one, actually. Your podcast.
Yeah, the Marketing 32 show. Yeah.
Marketing 32 show. I'll pull it up here. And maybe some of your favorite guests from the show. Actually, I'll share my screen. We'll pull it up
big
here.
Shout out to Elijah Desmond. He's one of the earlier ones that I interviewed. Laura Nelson. She's been a longtime friend in the industry. Laura Brenner. Yeah, all these fine ladies.
So check it out. Check it out. Check it out, especially if you're in the dental space or
absolutely
know someone in the dental space. This is where you want to go.
Yeah,
right?
The Marketing 32 show. Check it out.
So first of all, Brett, thank you. Everyone check out marketing32.com, more episodes of the podcast, and we'll see everyone next time. And Brett, thanks so much.
Thank you.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I feel like $100 grand.